Okay, Thursday morning in the kingdom, and we're doing this again. The me phone censored me. It shut off halfway through, and it's a good topic today. Yes, see that? We're celebrating today because it's June 6th. Yes! And that's from the Convoy song, The Dark Side of the Moon on June 6th. Yes! That's the original song that aired on the AM radios that we listened to growing up in the car. Yes! But the film version is June 7th. The Dark Side of the Moon, June 7th. They changed a lot of words in the song to make it more for the film. Yes, so that's a history lesson by everybody. I know this day because that's the day I arrived in WHO-ville 28 years ago, and I was only going to stay 2 years and then move farther north doing scrap metal recycling. Now look at me. All right, so we woke up to +1 Celsius, but feels like -3, which is better than forest fires and smoke. Yes. And then on the yo-yo scale, +34 Fahrenheit. Once again, Bonnie and Clyde's car, but feels like +27. That's chilly, but it is the end of the world. All right, so Amazon has my 4th book of my Winter Road series, The Dream Team, on for being free as an ebook. Yes, and it's from June 6th to the 10th, 5 days on Amazon, 4 days on Sesame Street. Link in the description. Yesterday I was able to do the end screen link to the YouTube video on Camp Sentry over in Greenland when they were testing out all those sleighs to build that nuclear thingy under the ice. So it's kind of neat to see how the sleighs worked in the cat trains. Yes. And according to my notes, I have to turn it sideways this way. And we thank the Kingdom followers, YouTube subscribers, for the gifts that arrived yesterday. Thank you for supporting our projects to get them finished. Not like my dad. How he never finished anything he started. How he had 2 kids, we're not sure, because I think you have to finish. All right, let's scroll this way before the ravens start cawing. No sunshine, lots of water puddles in the kingdom. Look at all that. Yes, and no wood stove today. It's kind of pointless to heat the shop up, warm it up, and it gets so humid in there you can't even walk around without breaking out in a sweat. We might do other things today because it's a day of celebration. Yes, we don't celebrate anniversaries like when the day I said I do. Oh, we can celebrate the day I said I don't. Yes. So no wood stove smoke this morning. We're going to wander around and do little things today and have fun because it's a day of celebration. Yes, celebration today. 28 years I arrived in WHO-ville, and they've spent 27 years hating me. Yes, 27 years they hate me. Oh, well, maybe I'll make it 40 years here and they'll hate me even more. Well, I better go. Here comes the boss. Okay, here we are celebrating 28 years in WHO-ville, and we have rain, which is actually sleet. Can we hear it? Doesn't that sound pretty good, Les Nessman? Yes. So we're going to be in the house today. I don't feel like having the wood stove going in the shop and getting so humid in there. All right, let's go in the house. Okay, I'm in the pleasure room in the house, which is basically where we keep everything stored. All right, so here's the road map of how the king is. Sir Rodney lives down there. And we're all the way up here. That's Thompson. And then you go over the so-called road to the kingdom. Yes. So that's just unreal. 300 kilometers of so-called road. And it's 1,200 kilometers to the south. And Thompson is where we have the Walmart. No Burger King. We have McDonald's and Subway and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. So back 10 years ago in May, we went to Lac Brochet. So this is a video of driving loaders to Lac Brochet. Oh, we kind of got a glare here. Okay. This is my computer. I only turn on when I do voiceovers and stuff like that. So back in the day, we made a video slideshow, because that's all we could do. And then we're finding out that the free music they gave us back then is locking us out and stuff like that. So the slideshow is 13 minutes long, and now we're going to do a voiceover. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can play the slideshow, because we didn't record anything back then, because 10 years ago we hardly took any film footage because we couldn't do anything with it. All right, so let's see if we can do a slideshow voiceover so that everybody understands. So now everybody's sitting here going, all right, so what was the big deal? Okay, so here's the kingdom here. Ooh, the floor is creaky like the bedroom. All right, so the kingdom is here, and these little lines here, that's the winter road. Yes, the winter road. It's only accessible when the ground is frozen. So there is Brochet, and we have to do the lake up here. All right, and here is Lac Brochet over here. So we headed out, I think it was May 4th or to the 9th. Yeah, May 4th we left here, drove the Kennesaw Rally Road to Kennesaw. I don't know if this is working. All right. So then this road here was officially closed because it was too soft, and then we drove all the way up here, all the way, all the way, all the way, and arrived here May 9th in Lac Brochet with 2 front end loaders. The odds were against us big time. Ooh, creaky, just like in the bed in the bedroom. All right, so the odds were against us, but we did it, and the loaders were basically junk. All right, let's see if we can do the voiceover of the slideshow. Okay, when we did our slideshow videos back in the day, we had the logo, which is actually the logo off of a t-shirt or a sweater. And here we are with the 2 loaders, the 966 Caterpillar and the case loader, as we have the last hot meal at the Dead Barn Cafe here in WHO-ville. And then we headed out over the so-called road. Oh, sorry, the Kennesaw Rally Road, which takes us up to the start of the winter road. So the Kennesaw Rally Road was built basically following the cat train trails, and it's a very unforgiving road. So it was even closed at Zed Lake, which is 20 kilometers up from WHO-ville. So that's how soft the road was. So we made it to the start of the winter road, and we do the mandatory stop and take pictures and check everything over. So this is a great event for us. And of course, the winter road is closed for some reason. We don't know why, because it closed back in March, at the end of March. And here's the landing where the trucks all get their tire chains on and everything like that to start up the winter road. So there's the signs to say where we're going. I don't know if you can see it, but Lac Brochet is 283 kilometers to go. So this is the start of the road. There was still snow there because of the big snowbanks and everything. So I didn't get very far driving the 966 loader, and we sunk it within the first kilometer. So the road is soft, and we got to figure this out and figure it out quickly. So all we did was back up and head through the trees. Yes, the little trees. So go to where the ground is still frozen, and the trees will support you. And even the water on the trail made it great fun. But we knew the ground was frozen underneath in certain places, and that's the way we did it. So there's the rocks and more rocks, and that'll be the whole trip for 5 days. Okay, once we got through the bad rocks there, we were down to kilometer 5, which is a little creek crossing. We had no troubles getting through that, and then it's more rocks and more rocks and more rocks. So that was fun and games, as you'd say. And if we couldn't travel through the soft areas, we just put the bucket up in the air and drove through the little trees. Yes, the toothpick trees, but that's the only thing we could do. It's either that or get stuck. Okay, so we made it okay, no problem. And then when we climbed kilometer 18 hill, that was a victory for us because that was a bad swamp to cross, and we were very pleased. And then we stopped at kilometer 20 for lunch, and that is good ground, good hard sand, as we'd say. And basically that was the last we seen of good ground where we could walk around and enjoy lunch. Unreal. But that's okay. We knew this was going to be a fun event, and then we still have snow in the roads, which made us have good, how would you say, good times or speed or whatever. So we had no problems. Then we had problems where we couldn't get up little hills like kilometer 26. It was just nothing but ruts. And then we made to kilometer 30 bridge. We couldn't climb the embankment up to the bridge, so we backed up and drove through the water. Yes, drove through the water because there's rocks there for when they built the roads, they could get the cats and everything across. So we just went that way. But that was no problem until the hitch broke off the little wagon that was hauling all our fuel and supplies. So that was just a minor detail. So we had to use the other loader to drag the wagon out, which made great fun, but we didn't get our feet wet, which was surprising. But we were expecting dramas and delays like this, but we survived because we were true experts. Okay, once we got across the bridge, then it turned into sandy hills or sand, and we tried driving in the little trees. And then when I came out of the little trees with the big loader, the 966 with the weak transmission, I sunk out of sight. Yes, sunk out of sight. And the loader doesn't have the power. So we were able to wiggle it out and use the other loader to pull it, and we got it out. But the hitch went through the rad, or into the rad, went through the rad grill guard at the back, so it did some slight damage, but we just had it chained on there. So everybody can't believe that we had that loader stuck. Weak transmission, could barely spin the tires, but we got it out. This 966 loader came from a scrapyard because there was wires stuck in the tires, and it didn't have the power to spin
the tires. Like, this loader should have never been purchased for the community or even attempted to be transported up there during the winter road on a truck, let alone drive it 300 and some kilometers through the wilderness, is high risk. That's when we figured out that the case loader had to pull or assist the 966, okay? So this is the way we did it for 5 days. We had the tow case strap on there. We only had the one, and off we went. We just played follow the leader. Sometimes the leader was down low, and sometimes I was up nice and high in the snow because I darted to wherever I could get traction and stay, how'd you say, from getting stuck. And the little case loader was down low. But we did it, and as it got dark, we got into more and more small trees, which was quite interesting. And then just as it gets dark, we get stuck in a little creek crossing or a crossing at, I think it's kilometer 50, I think it was, I'm not sure, but that was unreal. So now we have to get through this little stuck spot and keep going. Unreal. Okay, we spent the night at that creek crossing because we couldn't see the road when it was dark, but we got some excellent photos of what the drive line and the equipment looked like back in, well, for 12 hours of running or 14 hours of running. I'm not sure how many hours we made the first day. But the next morning we had to ditch the wagon. So at kilometer 67, we left it in the wilderness and we marked it with a flag. So it'd be December 2014. So we were up there May 2014. It was December 2014 when we went back and got the wagon. And then we continued on with follow the leader, the case in the front and me in the back with the 966 loader. So you come along, you find lots of things left over on the winter road, like somebody's little trailer that the wheel fell off. And that's where they left it because it cost too much to get it out versus what the trailer is worth, okay? But the rocks and more rocks that we traveled over was just unreal. So they can build a winter road, the Brochet crew can build a winter road to cover these rocks to make it smooth that you can actually get some fairly good speed, like maybe 30, 40 kilometers an hour on the straight stretch where it's smooth. But how they hide these rocks is unknown. It's like God dropped his marble bag is the best explanation for it. So we sure were glad to see that Brochet Junction, because you turn off from the main winter road and head to Brochet. So this is a pivotal point because we made 106 kilometers plus the 47 kilometers from the start of the winter road to WHO-ville. So how'd you say we're almost there? But the sandy conditions turned bad, so we had to go through the toothpick trees. Follow the leader, put the bucket down, and go. That's the only thing you could do. Like, we couldn't quit and go home. We were the only ones out here. No means of getting rescued unless it was a helicopter at about $10,000 or $15,000. But we did have a satellite phone to touch base with the staff back at the kingdom. Okay, we made it to about kilometer 137 on that second day of travel, and then we got stuck in the mud holes or the water holes, and we had to sleep the night. So the next morning we got up and we woke up to snow and more snow. It was terrible, but that's okay. The farther north we went, the better it got, and we just kept plugging away. So we had to, I would say, tag along and stuff like that. So once we got to good ground, we were able to stop and fuel up the loaders and stuff, okay, and service them. We were carrying the fuel in the barrel or in the bucket of the 966 because it was basically useless. So it's basically just a four-wheeled wagon that was just propelling itself along. And we only planned on 2 days out in the wilderness on this little adventure, so we started adding oil to the diesel fuel. Yes, that's an old-timer's trick, and you can do it with the older equipment. Just pour the oil in to make the diesel fuel last longer. And then we were on our way. So the trick was to get up over these little bridges that are so narrow as we're playing follow the leader. Some stretches of the road we had to go right over into the wilderness because we couldn't travel in the center, but that was par for the course. When we made kilometer 160, on the main winter road, that's the Brochet or Lac Brochet Junction, so we stopped for lunch, and that was a great event for us because this is the last stretch into where we delivered the loaders. So we had a good meal and then we headed off because the Lac Brochet Road is known for rocks and sand. So that's when we knew we were on the home stretch, as you'd say. So we were having good times, good fun, and we come to our first sand stretch there, which was great fun, but we wiggled through and got to it no problem. We got up over this bridge at the end, but that was no problem because we had been doing this for 2 days now, so we kind of knew how it all worked. Okay, once you leave the Lac Brochet Junction, it starts numbering over again. So starting at kilometer 5, 10, 15, 20, that's the way it's marked. But also, too, we're getting into the true muskeg, so it's the heebie-jeebies and stuff like that. And we got into snow because we're at a farther latitude, I think, or longitude or whatever it is. We're farther north, which is good because the snow saved our tushy because the ground was still frozen in some spots, but other spots it was not. So we had troubles. And when the lead case is doing the pulling or the guiding, it's sliding back sideways down into the bad spot. That's not good. So the little 966 powerless loader was able to get him back up on track. And then coming along, we do the sand and more sand. Once we seen black sand, we head for the trees and we hit to kilometer 20. Kilometer 20 is well known for its bridge and the hill. So it's featured in the Ice Road Trucker series and stuff like that. Because if you screw up going up the hill and spin out, you have to come backwards down the hill and make it across the bridge. But none of these photos show how steep it is or anything like that. But the bridge we were able to climb up onto, no problem. We didn't have to go down into the water and cross this way. So the government changed the road to make it go straight up over the hill. Back in the day when I started out, we turned left and followed the creek and then went over a little rock outcropping and then back to the main road. But the government improvements made it worse. So we were able to plug through. These ruts were deep. Some of them were 2 feet deep, but the loaders just barely made it through the clayish sand or whatever it is and up the big hill. So that was an achievement for us. And then once at the top of the hill, we're back into rocks and more rocks, which is good to know because that's how you survive and be able to continue on. It is a great quest to get these loaders. Okay, once up the big hill at kilometer 20, we had good sailing. This is kilometer 30, no problem. Kilometer 40, no problem. And we were making good time. Yes, good time. And the thing is, we're doing about 10 kilometers in an hour of travel, but we get into these spots where the water flowing under the ice gave us problems because we'd break through it and, bounce around in the cab of the loaders and stuff like that. I forget how far we made it that night, but we couldn't travel anymore because we were just too tired. So we slept in this spot here with the rocks and more rocks. So we'd sleep when it was dark, and when the sun came up, we started going. But we were sleeping in the cabs of the loaders. So we basically woke up when we were too stiff and sore and we needed to get going. So then once we were on the rocks and more rocks, and this stuff is still frozen up here because this is the end of the world. It's still cold, and we were having fun. And then we got into the Jeep rock climbing because the Lac Brochet rock is either sand or rocks, and this is what it was. Climb over the rocks, and how these guys make a road that's made out of snow so smooth over these rocks is unreal. Then we got into the black sand. Once you get into black sand, you head for the trees. So I think we had to unhook the case and get it up into the trees to come back to get the 966 loader because it was unreal. But as long as we kept propelling itself, and then I think this was kilometer 160, I think it was about there somewhere. I'm not sure, it might be 155. Was the loader quit in the wet spot? Yes, the 966 quit. So we had to get it up and running, but we also were smart, had extra fuel filters and everything like that. And then to try and get across this culvert here. So we ended up, fighting and wrestling to get across the culvert because we have to have a 2-car parade towing each other, getting across the culvert. So it was great fun, but we did it and we survived. And it was one of the harder parts that we did was that simple little culvert in the middle of the road. But we couldn't get rough with it because it was still frozen into the ground. Okay, once we got across the culvert and down the trail a bit farther, the winter road, that's when we realized we're having problems. We had to make kilometer 70 where the fuel depot was, and we realized we wouldn't. We had enough fuel to survive the night or whatever, so that's what we did. We parked the loaders, turned the idles down, so they were just idling, and that's where we waited it out. We used a satellite phone to phone Lac Brochet to tell them we need fuel, because there's no way we could make, I think it was 7 kilometers to where the fuel was. There was no way we could take a chance because if we ran these machines out of fuel, that's our lifeline, our heat, and everything like that. To make the little bit of fuel last that we had left, we dumped more oil in. And we sat in the loaders waiting and waiting. So I think we stopped about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it was 11 o'clock at night when the skidoos arrived from Lac Brochet. These guys skidooed out about 70 kilometers, and they have to travel on the lakes mostly because that's where it's the fastest way. And they brought us enough fuel in jerry cans on the sleighs to get us to the next depot. So we traveled through the night, and we got to kilometer 70 where the fuel depot is, and that's where we were able to fuel up our barrels and the loaders. But look at the tracks we left. Like that 8 inches of snow. We credit the Lac Brochet boys for coming out and saving our tushy because without any fuel, we were basically toast. So that's when we serviced the loaders, got everything ready to go, and then we headed out because now we can't see anything. Yes, we don't know where the rocks are, where the water is, or anything. We are basically driving blind in the snow, and this is unreal. But the thing is we've never gotten credit for what we've done. Nobody's done a story. Nobody's done anything. Like Case or Caterpillar should do a story about their junky loaders actually making it. That's what surprises us. Okay, now the problem we have here is we have all this snow, 8 inches of wet snow pushing down on non-frozen ground and water. It's making the water flow. Plus we can't see the water spots or anything like that. So we're having great fun with traction. And then the bad part is you leave kilometer 70 base camp or outpost camp, and then you have to go down a big hill once you get it climbed up on top. So we unhook the loaders, because the last thing we need is playing bumper cars going down the hill. So we had great fun trying to propel ourselves in the snow, especially the 966 loader with weak transmission and bald tires. So how would you say I came down the hill rather fast, and then the Case followed down because I figured I'd be in the trees or the tulips, and the Case would have to pull me out. So that was great fun. So then we traveled from that hill, you just travel a little bit more to kilometer 75, which I made famous on Ice Road Truckers, where that white Freightliner got stuck and we had to pull it out. So that was my 15 seconds of fame. So then to travel back and to see such a small little water flowing area that created such an ice field, it's just unreal. But that's Mother Nature. You cannot control it. So once you leave kilometer 75, you're getting into the Eskers. The Eskers is a ridge of sand that's from the glaciers, because that was the rivers that ran in the glaciers. So this is actually very nice to drive on. It's kind of a gravelly, sandy thing, and you can make good time. Plus you have an excellent view. So once we got to kilometer 85 mile marker post or kilometer mile post, we had to stop and have something to eat because we made it that far. Like we only have 40 some kilometers to go or whatever it is, but slowly we got it. Like this is day number 4. I think it is. We're plugging along here. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think it's still day 4 or 5. Yeah, this would be day 5 because we make it all the way through. So that was pretty good. So here we are coming up to the hills. We're just having fun. Okay, the last stretch into Lac Brochet is the toughest, the hardest of this whole trip because the snow, we couldn't see anything. We didn't know where the water was flowing or where the bad spots in the road were. It was unreal. Plus, God had dropped his marble bag up here. The size of rocks that these guys built a road around and across was just unreal. Like, it's amazing what they did back then. And this road was, 22, 23 years old at the time. It was a fairly new winter road for in Northern Manitoba. But the rocks and rocks is just unreal. But once you get through the rock fields, it's not that bad because they built the road up onto the Eskers. So here we are being tandem pulled or tandem joined together, and we're just booting through the Eskers. Like we made good time. We could actually get some speed to make the time. So then we have to slow down for the ice fields, the water crossings, and then we're on the last stretch into Lac Brochet. And this is where the airplane that was going to fly us home on the regular scheduled flight flew over us. So we were crying because there was no more flights out of Lac Brochet for the weekend. So we arrived into Lac Brochet. It was a grandiose event. We kept the loaders tied together for the locals to see and enjoy because we did it. Unreal. But I still credit the guys that skidooed out and gave us the fuel for saving our tushies. Yes. And all communities in the north are I was centered around the church because 300 years ago, these guys showed up in sailing ships and told the local people they had to have Good Friday and Sunday off, plus Christmas too. So it was good to park the loaders and get out of them, and we got to stay in a house in Lac Brochet. Seems how we missed the airplane. So this is one of the teachers' houses that come in for the season of the school year for teaching the kids. So we have to buy locally expensive, good health products or healthy foods because we basically starved ourselves. We had to ration our food because we were only supposed to be gone 2 days and we were gone 5, but we always take extra food, but it wasn't quite just enough. So then a friend of mine showed up in an airplane to fly us back home to the kingdom. And the guy that drove the other loader for us, he was afraid of flying, so he wasn't too happy about it. But once he found out I was in 3 plane crashes in my wasted youth in 12 months, he had no problems going because he knew the plane wasn't going to crash, because nobody crashes 4 times. But to see the ground from the air and stuff like that is unreal. What they did to build a road and how they build it each year is amazing. And the thing is, the cat trains traveled from lake to lake to get the products to these northern communities back in the day. That's just totally amazing what the old timers did. What we did was phenomenal or crazy. Yeah, because no film crew would follow us. Yes, we were famous with ice road truckers and they wouldn't send a film crew for us because it was too dangerous. So we finished out the videos, the slideshow videos in the past with the word thanks, and we just took a picture of the t-shirts that we had back in the day. Oh, the good old days when we were having fun and spending money foolishly and not on women.
Okay, back to the year 2024. We had fun in 2014 with the driving the loaders to Lac Brochet. Hopefully the slideshow video worked out pretty good. We'll insert the staff's video here where she talks about the weather and how it just rained and rained some more.
Thursday morning in WHO-ville, it's just after 9 a.m. and I'm getting ready for work. It did rain all last night, but it's actually cleared up right now. The sun is kind of shining. Now it's time to head inside, let the dogs out, make breakfast, and get ready for work. Almost 10 a.m. and I'm just getting ready for work now. It looks like it's trying to rain again. The weather does say it's supposed to rain for a couple days, but you know that could be a lie. Now it's time to head inside, let the dogs back in, and get to work. 12 p.m. and I'm just getting home for lunch. It was a pretty good morning at work. I did some prep and some stocking on the shelves and stuff. Now it's time to head inside, let the dogs out quickly, and make a lunch. As you can see, it has started raining again. It was actually pouring earlier. 1 p.m. and I'm just getting ready to head back to work. As you can see, it is still raining. The pens are extra wet, so the dogs weren't out very long. I'm not sure if I'll be going to the kingdom after work either because it is pretty wet, so my dad's not doing anything. So let's head inside and get to work. Just after 6 p.m. and I made home from work. It was a pretty good day. I got a lot of prep done and helped stock some shelves. Now it's time to head inside and let the dogs out quickly. I won't be going over to the kingdom today because as you can see, it is still raining. Plus my dad's not doing anything anyways. Let's head inside. It sure is wet out here today. 6:30 and this is the temperature we're sitting at today. It's 5 degrees Celsius, which is 41 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have the feels like on the bottom. Similar weather as yesterday, and as you can see, it is still raining. My little weather board is getting pretty wet, so I better head inside and let the dogs back in, make supper, and end my day.
Okay, 5 o'clock in the kingdom and I got to spend the afternoon in the house. Yes, 4 hours to do the voiceover video, probably 2 hours beating and convincing the computers to work because you have 3 of them going to do a voiceover, so you have to have them going. So they have to work consecutively or in sync with each other, but one will have a hissy fit. It's just unreal. Everything's such a drama. No wonder I got rid of the Bookbird with a computer on board. Yes, the 2013 Tahoe that Sir Rodney bought for us. It had the Global Star and everything like that, and computer traction control. So I was getting stuck in the middle of the yard. That's why I got rid of it. All right, so hopefully the video turned out, the voiceover, but it's actually good because that documents what we did up there, because when I'm dead and gone, somebody can look at the pictures and I'm basically narrating the story, telling like Grandpa used to do to us, showing us pictures of the barns freighting trucks, and he would tell stories about the trucks and stuff like that. But in this day and age, to pass down information, we're using the voiceover on the videos. All right, look at the flags. They're wet. They're limp. Jeez, what a good life they lead. All right, at least the wind wasn't blowing and destroying them. That's hard on those flags. All right, let's go walk the dogs, drink some beer, and relax. Talk to you later.